I think it comes down to the filmmakers, the storytellers, of bringing us into someone's world and making us care and understand and empathize.
I always was consuming media, and I think that portrays well now being a media student, because it is just really important into my life. Like, it's just influenced me in so many ways.
If we see a lack of representation for a particular demographic, certainly that could lead to the idea that there are less people that are like me.
If you're not taught those things, you think you're different, which means that's bad, so you don't talk about it. You keep it to yourself.
I've been in the industry for more than 15 years, coming up on 20. I think the interesting thing about the arts, when we think about films, have been a big or integral part of shaping our culture and society. But society has also been a big part of shaping our films and our stories that we go to see and then come to love. I tell students, if you wake up and turn the news on right away and you find out, so many murders and bank robberies, whatever, of course you're going to see and perceive the world through that lens of violence and criminals and just danger, which you probably won't step out of the house. But if you were to wake up and not turn on the news, but look out your window and it's a sunny day, you're easily going to go, this is a pretty nice day, pretty nice world.
So George Gerbner, who coined the theory, was primarily interested in television violence. After the printing press, and we saw, TV kind of becoming the primary storyteller in most homes, that we should be aware of the types of messages that are on television, because it can have a cultivating effect in terms of the way that we see the world.
I didn't even know how to conceptualize it, because we didn't learn about it in our school, or at least my school at the time. So I would say I knew younger, but I didn't really, one, fully know, and two, fully accept it until I was in high school.
Jones and McEwen created the model of multiple dimensions of identity. The model describes how self-identity comes to be. Kristen Keene, the Assistant Dean of Students and Director of the Brooks Center, explained the model. On one side of the filter is who we are. This can include things we hold close to us, such as race, religion, and gender. On the other side is contextual influences, including our peers, family, stereotypes, etc. In between the two is our meaning-making filter. When we are young, this filter has large gaps, and outside influences can easily pass through to our core perceptions. But as we get older, the gaps get smaller, and less outside influences break through to our core. Media is one of the outside influences we experience. The stereotypes and underlying messages that come with the lack of representation are pushed through our meaning-making filter. Since more and more people are being exposed to media at younger ages, the likelihood of media messages breaking through our filter is higher. As we get older, we perceive stereotypes and lack of representation differently, and can distinguish our own worth and acceptance from society's influence.
I could have understood that, I didn't really know that there was people out there that was okay,
Representation of the world, I definitely think people, then out of sight, out of mind, kind of.
And so Gerbner's claim was that heavy viewers of television are likely to see the world through the lens of the pictures that are being portrayed on television. So if we see lots of violence on television, then we tend to think that the world is a mean and scary place. And in fact, he calls that phenomenon the mean world syndrome.
And I think both that films, TV, any of these stories that we're taking in as a user, I think can both promote not only the individual in the community of the LGBTQ plus that maybe identifies as struggled or is out openly, and also the audience of understanding their perspective. I think that's the power of storytelling.
Because certainly under cultivation theory, we could make the argument that people who are consuming these messages or seeing these messages would then form attitudes and opinions that are similar to what's being portrayed on the screen. So in the queer community, if we're only seeing, one character who only gets 5 minutes of screen time, and that's kind of a theme across all of our content analysis, it can lead to, we could make a claim that it could lead to feelings of social isolation. Or if we see people of a particular group tokenized, right? That if they're only portrayed in a particular role or as a particular function, right, then that's how not only the world would see that particular demographic, but also how you might internalize your own identity.
I think today, marketing and just the abundance of content out there, and not just from a creator's point, but like just commercial, all these things that a viewer or a user in social media is going to be seeing, I think their ability to interact with social media is going to be a big play or kind of player into, are they going to watch the content or go see a movie? I've taught students that you can make a great story, have a great perspective on a specific topic, but if you don't get the message out there through whatever marketing means, but social media being a big part, that film might just sit on a shelf or go unviewed. I think streaming has given these films that are less likely to be seen or make a theater run the ability for people to watch at home, which I like. I think for the LGBTQ plus community and being more from the independent, less connected to studios, you have a little bit more freedom to try and create and tell your story. When you have more people with so many different perspectives coming in, it dilutes the truth to that story. So I think when you have an independent story through the streaming services, I think your audience sometimes know this is probably going to be more genuine.
My show that I directed is called In Love for All. I co-directed it with Clara Bernadzikowski, and it was the first ever LGBTQ plus show at the University of Dayton, which I feel like is a huge moment not only for me, but also for the school's history. I really enjoy my show because it gives an opportunity for a voice from a community that hasn't been talked about enough, I feel like, on this campus. It starts to give them a voice, and I think that's really important because as this community grows and as our society is being more open and accepting of our community, we need to be able to tell stories from our side and perspective.
I really think the next step is looking at the institutional level analysis, where why is it that certain media conglomerates are sending these messages? Like, why is this the lens that they're showing these particular identities? And I think that that's a really important step to look at as well.